Welcome to the Center for Universal Oneness. We are an open, welcoming, spiritual community that supports all faith traditions and invites you to join us on your spiritual journey. We host different speakers each week to guide and inspire us. We are guided by universal principles of acceptance of all that is sacred, and we strive to live in the oneness of love. Please enjoy this presentation.
All right, so our speaker today, of course, again, is Reverend Rita Marie Johnson. Her talk title today, as you can see here, is Tested Wisdom from a Spiritual Adventurer. Can't wait to hear this. Reverend Rita Marie Johnson is a Unity minister. She's created social emotional skills called the Connection Practice. The Connection Practice has been taught worldwide to over 100,000 adults and children. And her book, entitled Completely Connected, is an Amazon bestseller and has won the Nautilus Award in psychology, in the psychology category. Wonderful. And we'll start our talk off today, or our service off, with this fabulous tune, I Believe I Can Fly. Okay, so today we have Reverend Sheila Ford. Her talk title is, of course, Discern. What is best for you? Can't wait to hear this. Now, members, this is her first time, so she's a brand new speaker to our community here. So we're excited to have her here and to be able to listen to everything that she's prepared for. So this is wonderful, and just a big welcome to you. Looking forward to have you here. So thank you. A little bit about our speaker today is that she leads a faith-based arm of the Connection Practice, which we know was formerly Be Peace, with Rita Marie. Actually, she works very closely with Rita Marie and her alternative ministry. From Conflict, Connection, in Unity. She previously served as a minister at Unity of Stockton for 7.5 years. She serves on the regional board of Unity's West Central region, and she also entered seminary after 30 years as a psychology professor and counselor. Sheila holds degrees from UC Davis, and her studies toward a PhD include transpersonal clinical counseling and this word, Jungian psychoanalysis.
Jungian.
Unit, okay. There we go. Thank you. So Sheila, again, thank you for being here. And we'll have a song before we get started.
Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but that song always just gets me right in the zone. And I'm in the zone, and it's so great to be here with you. So I am so grateful to you for inviting me, and I welcome this opportunity. I am familiar with some of you and with your community. I'm a co-minister with Rita Marie Johnson, who spoke for you last week. In what used to be called Be Peace is now called the Connection Practice. So we work side by side and have since 2012. And I know her sister, Sherry, which you are aware of, and Mickey. And I actually was there one time some years ago, pre-COVID, with Kelly Isola when you were meeting in Diana's dance studio. So a little familiar with your community. So today's talk, Discern. Discern. It's one of my favorite topics, one of my favorite words. If I had known about this word and this concept when I was younger, wow, I would have avoided a whole lot of challenges that I faced in my life. I mean, we always face challenges, but I think I wouldn't have had to go through as much as I did. The struggles would have been lessened quite a bit if I had known this word, discern. And what we're talking about here is wisdom, our power of wisdom, discern with wisdom. And we're talking about a wisdom that comes from a deep place within, or wherever your God resides. Charles Fillmore called it his headquarters. So discern this way, that way, which way, what's the right way? So do you ever think about, ask yourself this question, what is best for me? Do you ever wish for what's best for yourself? Of course we do. I mean, I do. And I'm assuming all of you want what's best for yourself and best for your the people you care about, family, friends, acquaintances, co-workers, whoever. You want what's best for them as well. So this is a really key concept. And in the Greek language, well, I'm jumping ahead of myself. And so when we're making decisions, let me backtrack just a minute. When we're making decisions, I know we all have decisions to make, little ones throughout each day about what we're going to have for breakfast, what clothes we're going to wear, and just all of those, and big decisions in our lives, like whether we're going to get married, whether we're going to have children, whether we're going to get divorced, whether we're going to, what career we're going to choose, what kind of religious community or spiritual community, religious or spiritual, or where our belongingness is. So little decisions throughout each day and big decisions. We all make decisions all the time. And a lot of times we make them as just like, and we don't, I mean, we think about it, but sometimes the more we think about it, the more confused we get. So we're talking about moving from our head, which can have monkey mind, as our prayer person talked about, getting out of the monkey mind. And sometimes to do that, we need to go down into our heart. So decisions, this way, that way, which way, the right way. So what is right for me? Ask yourself that question. You want to know what that is? You ready for the answer? It is being in alignment, having your human ego, personality, self, that aspect to you, come together and be in line with that divine aspect to you that goes so much deeper. So it's bringing the two of those into harmony. And today I'd like to discuss about how you might go about doing that. I'm sure you already, being Unity folks, have a lot of ideas about that. And I just would like to remind you of some ideas you already have, maybe cement in some of the ideas you already have, and maybe bring up some even new ideas that you hadn't thought of. So what is right for you? What is right for me? What's best for me and those around me and those I care about? Yourself included. Be sure to care about yourself too. Remember that. My husband said to me a while back, he said, when we get into the habit of caring for ourselves and not making harsh judgments toward ourselves, and we work at that and consciously, intentionally get into the habit of not judging ourselves so harshly, we develop this habit till it becomes automatic, that we just automatically do it for others as well. It just becomes a habit. So we start with the harsh judgments that we make toward ourselves, caring about ourselves. So we think about, okay, what's most effective decision for me to make here or here or here? What's most constructive or what's not constructive for me and those around me? And what decision would pull me higher, to a higher way of seeing things, a higher way of being. So there's a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So we get in this trap where we think, oh, what if I decide on this path and it's the wrong, and I find out later it's the wrong path. And so we get paralyzed. We freeze, we go, and we panic. And that renders us just not able to do anything. And those are the times where we don't make a decision because we think that might be the wrong path. And or what if I chose path B then, this other path? What if that's the wrong path? And so then we are torn between these two paths. And what we need to realize is that neither path is right or wrong path. This is pathway A. And along that pathway, we experience certain things. and we learn certain things. And on this path, we experience certain things and learn certain things. And neither one is right or wrong. It just is. And we feel that fear and we just do it anyway. Not always easy to do, is it? But we feel that fear and we do it anyway with discernment. With discernment. So in Greek, in the Greek language, the word discern means this. I found this just yesterday and I thought, wow, the clarity around this is crystal clear. They define it as, the word discern, as the process of examining gold ore to determine if it's genuine. The process of examining gold ore to determine if it's genuine. That's the Greek definition of the word discern. So when we're making decisions and we're trying to go into our spiritual self, our headquarters, that secret place of the Most High that is ours and ours alone, where we're safe, that no one else can enter. It's where we commune individually, our own personal space, where we commune with whatever your God is to you, your God, your higher self, your sweet spirit, divine spirit, whatever you consider your God, that deep place deep within you that is yours and yours alone. When we go to that place and we're trying to make decisions based on that kind of wisdom, then we're trying to determine, is this what's coming to me about what decision to make and what need to be my next steps? Is this really from divine, or is it from my human self, from my intellect? And there's a purpose for this up here. We don't want to get rid of it, but we're trying to discern, is it genuine? Is it real? Is it something I need to pay attention to? So how do we know that? So discerning in the Greek word is just a process of examining gold ore to determine if it's genuine. Wow. So what is right for me and what is right for you? Need to go backwards here a minute. So if I had only known about this word, so if we could have the slide, love is not all you need. If I had known this word about discernment back when I was younger days, and I was starting to date. Do you remember those days when you were starting into the dating game? And for me, whoever came along willy-nilly, oh yeah, sure. And I experienced a lot of trauma over that decision. And if I had known about discernment, I think I could have saved myself a lot of struggle. So I could have said, and you could have used this as well, probably as my guess, there's a prayer that I could have used for love. It's a prayer for discernment. So I would have said, dear God, you know I'm new to the dating scene and I'm in a bit of a daze about it all. Give me discernment as I navigate through a new relationship. Holy Spirit, prompt me to think about important topics to discuss with the other person that will help us know if we should even continue down this path toward a lifelong commitment of love and marriage. Help me to ask the right questions and know if I have the right answers. Amen. See how that would have helped me rather than willy-nilly get into all these relationships that were toxic? Oh boy. So we think sometimes that love is all we need. You know that song, Love is All You Need? And every time I hear that song, it moves me deeply. I love it. And I think, wow, yeah. And then something in me goes, wait, love is not all you need. You need things like mutual respect. You need support. You need trust. You need boundaries, healthy boundaries. You need people to be there when it matters. You need to know that you matter. You need space to grow and acceptance when you do grow, no envy. You need people to show their love in a way that you can understand. You need to feel safe. You need to contribute. You need to belong. Would you say you need all those things? And you need discernment. So for years, my mantra was divine love and wisdom. Wisdom being discernment is wisdom coming from our deeper place. Divine love and wisdom been my mantra. And so when I go into meditation, in order to stop the monkey mind, to quiet myself, I go divine love and wisdom, divine love and discernment, divine love and wisdom. So in order for the wisdom and discernment to be true, it needs to be divine love and wisdom, those two together. So could we have the next slide, discerning hearts? So this talk is dedicated to all of you with discerning hearts, dedicated to those on the spiritual journey. Would you say that's all of you? Well, yes, it is. It's all of us, especially you folks, or you wouldn't be here. So this talk is dedicated to you. So when we discern, how do we do that? How do we decide what's best for you? So Charles Fillmore, one of our co-founders, as you know, and Paul Hasselbeck, you probably know of him also. He was the director of education at Unity's seminary at Unity Worldwide Institute. They both say that one of our 12 powers, or our innate powers, our innate abilities, and I know you know about the 12 powers, is discernment or wisdom. It's innate in us when we're born. And they also call it judgment, but after a time, Fillmore let go of using that term judgment so much because we get so confused about how we typically use that term. We think of harsh judgments toward ourselves and toward each others. And that's only, well, what we're talking about in judgment here is something different. So discernment and wisdom is our ability to make judgments, to judge, to evaluate this over this, to discern this over this, to be wise about those decisions, and to appraise this or this. Would this be more effective for me or more constructive? Or would it be less effective, less constructive? And for me and those around me. So to appraise it. So that J word, that judgment word, we think of harsh value judgments that we do toward ourselves. And sometimes we hear people doing it toward others. We don't do it toward others ever, do we? Sometimes we're human, aren't we? We may not say it, but sometimes I think those things and I go, oh, look at that. I don't want to go. I don't want to be there. And I don't think you do either. So when we use that J word, judgments, we tend to think of those harsh judgment. So, and for toward ourselves and others. And I know that all of you have been in a place where you've experienced a harsh judgment from someone else. And some of you may go, oh, I don't buy into that. I don't care what other people say. Well, you know what? To a degree, I do care what other people say and feel and think. We should to a degree, but I don't need to take it on as my own, but I can think about it and consider it and think of, okay, maybe that's something I can use to become a better human being. But Beyond that, when you have experienced that in your life, and all have experienced a harsh judgment from others, it hurts. It hurts. Sometimes more than others, sometimes depending on how much that other person means to you. If they mean a lot to you, then it might hurt more. And if you feel like that other person's not always going to uplift you, but maybe want to put you down, it might hurt more. And it might hurt just for moments. It might hurt for hours. Sometimes it hurts for days, sometimes months, and sometimes it takes years. And sometimes you'll think, oh, I've handled that. That was a trigger. And I took care of the wound that was behind that trigger from my childhood. And then something will trigger you and it'll come back and there's another layer. You go, is that back again? I'm tired of dealing with that. But isn't that the way it is? So it hurts. And that's just, well, I'll just leave it at that. So discernment in the Hindu religion, they define discernment as the ability to judge well, to judge wisely, to judge objectively. That makes sense. And in the Hindu religion, they consider judgment defined as the ability to make considered decisions, where we consider all the pros and cons, consider all the aspects to get to where the best decision, what's best for us and best for those around us. Or they say, come to sensible conclusions. I like that too. So can we have the next slide? So we know the books. I'm assuming you're familiar with the book by Don Miguel Ruiz of the 4 Agreements. And then another book came out more recently, well, it's probably been a few years now, where Don Miguel and his son, Don Jose Ruiz, came up with the 5th Agreement. And that 5th Agreement is all about discernment. And it's really about who you really are. So the 4 agreements, quickly, if you've forgotten, is number 1 is be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take anything personally. Number 3, don't make assumptions. And number 4, always do your best. Those are pretty good words to live by. But the 5th agreement in the most recent book is be skeptical, but learn to listen. Don't believe yourself or anybody else. Use the power of doubt to question everything you hear. Is it really the truth? Listen to the intent behind the words, and you will understand the real message. Because most of what people have taught us during the years, well-meaning people like our parents and teachers and ministers and friends and siblings and aunties and uncles, well-meaning people taught us what they had been told was true. And now we can question that and go, okay, somebody told me that was true, and we as young people, we took it on, swallowed it whole because, well, after all, these are our parents, so they know they're doing what's best for me, supposedly. And I mean, they mean well, but sometimes we grow up with these beliefs and opinions and judgments and belief systems, which some people call BS, which you know what BS can stand for. So don't believe necessarily any of that, but question it. Be skeptical. So what is right for you? What is right for me? In Revealing Word by Charles Fillmore, he says judgment is the innate ability or power that can be used in 2 ways. first way is from sense perception, what we see, feel, taste, hear, and what we observe in this world through our senses, reality, concrete-based reality on this human earthly realm, from our ego, from our personality. And again, some people say, get rid of the ego, but I say, don't get rid of it. There's a purpose for it, but we hold it in check. And so, or the second way that we can use this power is from spiritual understanding, which is an elevated consciousness. And if it's based on the first one, sense consciousness, the perceptions and the conclusions are fallible. They often are condemnatory, and they can change, because anything on this earthly realm is not solid. It can change. However, if it's based on spiritual understanding, it's safe, it's sound, it's real, it's unchangeable. It's like our rock. It's solid. It's what we can depend on. Wow. Isn't it great to know that we have that right here available at any, now I'm beating on my chest, at any time. And it's as close as our next breath, as close as our next heartbeat. Wow, to get the spiritual understanding. So if it's based on the ego, based on what we know through our senses and our thoughts and our feelings and our belief systems, which the belief systems are just opinions, what we've been told, and we took it on and agreed with it, not knowing any better. And now we start to question. Okay, so that does serve a purpose. It's not always a bad thing. It serves a purpose. It's helpful when we're choosing what to eat, what to wear. I mean, if I'm going to the park for a picnic, should I wear those high-heeled spike shoes, or should I wear some tennis shoes where I can be comfortable and play volleyball or whatever? So those decisions can be important too. And we base that on what we already know. I've experienced going to the park where people did wear those heels and they fell down and broke their ankle, and I don't want that. So that serves a purpose. And but it also can make us be judgmental, discriminatory, sexist, racist. So there can be a problem with coming from sense consciousness. And in some ways it serves a purpose, but in other ways, not so much. So within the ego, personality, sense consciousness, if it's based on that, then it can be either underdeveloped or overdeveloped. And when it's underdeveloped, I think mine was underdeveloped for years because I never got an upbringing that knew, my parents didn't know about this and didn't know to help me develop it. So it was underdeveloped. And so it's like, it's people who can't make decisions. Of course, I'm there. All of us are there from time to time. Indecisive, wishy-washy. That word makes me laugh. Like a leaf blowing in the wind. I've been there a lot in my life because I didn't know about discernment. I didn't know about inner wisdom. And the decisions that we have to make, the ones that are hardest to make, are those where, well, I have to make a decision here. And if I decide that, I don't want that. But if I decide that, I don't want that either. I don't want either one of those, but I have to make a decision. I have to choose one. When we have those are the hardest. And we just stay in limbo and very often don't ever make a decision. And we stay wishy-washy, underdeveloped. And still, when we're in the ego, personality, sense consciousness, it can be, on the other hand, overdeveloped. So when it's overdeveloped, then we can be harshly judgmental, highly judgmental in a harsh way, discriminatory as in being racist or sexist, or choose your ist, I-S-T, racist, sexist, or whatever ist. Overly picky about details, always find fault with the results, with everything. That's not so hot either, is it? You know people like that. If we want to use the ability of judgment, wisdom, discernment. In the most productive ways, we use it in conjunction with love, which I already mentioned once, but it deserves mentioning again. With love, wisdom, discernment, with love and understanding. So my mantra, divine love and wisdom, divine love and wisdom, divine love and wisdom. Monkey mind starts divine love and wisdom. That's been my favorite. Those two together are a winning combo for your life. So out of our ego consciousness, sense consciousness, personality, up to an elevated consciousness, when we come from there, instead, from a spiritual understanding, our ability to judge, discern, make decisions, make choices, the best for ourselves and those around us that we care about, are based on ideas and truths that are divine in nature. Then in those times, we use judgment to discern how to apply what we know, what we've experienced, to be the best human being, the best person we can be, and the most Christ-like person we can be, coming from the most Christ-like nature we can. And I want that for myself. You want it for yourself? Of course. So what to do? What to do? Solution. Are you ready for the solution? We become truly conscious in this now moment, and then the next moment, and then the next moment, about how we use that ability of judgment and wisdom and discernment, how we use it. And awareness and self-knowledge go a long way to raising our consciousness so that we can more easily do that. And the key is get it under wise control. I've been going about my life blithely, judging this, evaluating this, discerning this, and that didn't always work out as well for me as I would have liked. And sometimes these judgments are useful for our consciousness, and other times not so much. So I could say sometimes it's good, they're good, and sometimes they're bad. So if I did that, would you catch the judgment in that? Good, bad? Instead, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. So, food for thought. So Paul Hasselbeck, one of my mentors, says, get ready, I'm going to put it out there like he says it. He says about that judgment word, that J word. He says, first of all, get over it. I hate it when people say that to me, but I knew coming from him, it made sense. And so he says, we cannot not use judgment or wisdom. It's always at work. And that can be a good thing or not. It depends on how you use it. So there's a minister who studied under Michael Beckwith's Agape Center in San Diego named Jennifer Hadley. And her specialization is A Course in Miracles. And she does a talk. You should look her up about judgment and discernment. And what she says is very valid, but it's intriguing. And it'll make you go, what? It's very valid though, and it's very helpful. And her suggestions are very helpful. And she may sometimes get into the semantics of it, but she says how we use discernment and judgment, well, she has a different take on it. Here's what she says, the main core. We can live without judgments. What? People say, how can I live without my judgments or my opinions or my belief systems, my beliefs? And she says, they say all of them? She says, all of them. Okay, here's the punchline though. What she says we can do that's more effective, more constructive for us and those around us is use the word preference. This is not good or bad, but I prefer this over that. You may prefer this over that. And when we use that word, we get out of that good, bad, that causes problems for us. That's worthy of more explanation, but look her up. Linda Martella Whitsitt, which you all may know is the vice president of Silent Unity, she says we do evaluation through comparison and contrast, weighing out the pros and the cons. You know anybody like that? Those list makers of us out there? I used to feel like making lists, to-do lists were like a noose around my neck, but I no longer feel that way. And I have to every day. Well, I have more so when I had a church, but I still do a lot of that, weighing out the pros and cons. So there is something to that. But she says, ask yourself this question about any decision you have to make about moving forward, because we have to make decisions and choices in order to move forward. So when you're in that process, does moving forward feel life-giving? Or does it feel like a lot of work? Doesn't have to be that way. Shouldn't be that way. She says we can make wise choices. And we can ask ourselves questions like, what is the wise thing to do in this situation? Good stuff. She says it's our gut instinct. You know about what your gut instinct. It's our aha, or uh-oh power. And we always have access to that power. It's our internal guidance system that's always here when we practice discernment from a divine place. When our infinite self, our divine self, that aspect to us takes charge to express wisely. Can I get the heart math slide, please? So many, if not all of you, have heard about heart math. And this whole thing reminds me of heart math. And so in heart math, there's where we go into coherence between the heart and the brain. And we get a coherence going so that we optimize the way we are in the world. Everything just goes more smoothly. And so there are four steps. One is we focus, we breathe, we appreciate, and then we ask. So let me tell you what I mean by that. So first of all, I would like for each of you to think of something that's easy for you to appreciate. Whatever it is that's easy for you to appreciate. Person, place, thing. Sometimes I think about this little kitten I used to have that would come up on my neck and start purring. Or another cat that I had that would romp up the stairs at bedtime with me. Or my granddaughter when she was 3 and we had our Halloween costumes, princess costumes, and this smile on her face was it's just when I think about that picture of us even, I get a smile in my heart and on my face. Or of myself lying in the ocean in Hawaii on a raft, looking up at the sky, the blue sky, feeling the warmth on my skin and looking at the clouds. That kind of a feeling. So whatever it is, something that's easy for you to appreciate. So you all have something in mind? Okay, so let's go back to the heart math. 1, we focus on our heart. So we drop down from our head to our heart. And I find it helpful to put my hand on my heart. You may find that helpful or not. So we focus on the heart. Number 2, you can follow along with me if you like. We breathe through the heart. As if we could breathe through the heart. We breathe normally, maybe a little slower than usual. And then we go to that which is easy for us to appreciate. Whatever it is that brings a big smile to your heart and maybe to your face. And you just feel that appreciation. And then ask yourself, what do I need to know? And listen for the answer. And then when you get an answer, you may not get it right now, but when you do get an answer, if you'll open your eyes, so I know you're complete. You may not get an answer right now. It may come later. It may come a long time later. But you can do this anytime when you're having trouble making a decision. And it'll take you right to that divine center. It's a quick, easy way. And I call this, when you ask and you get the answer, I call it answered prayer. And I have found that when the answer is truly from your divine aspect of you, or from God, or whatever you call that, there are three criterion that I know. And one is it's always simple. It's not complex like my head does. It's always a simple answer. And it's always short. And it always just comes quickly. And I'm going, well, not necessarily. For me, I do this every day until now. All I have to do is put my hand on my heart and it comes. It already knows. But the other thing, criterion, is a fourth, and that is that it's never a harsh negative value judgment. So you can use heart math anytime as a quick way to get to where you want to get your answers, discernment from a divine place. Short, quick, easy way. Or meditation or prayer. There's a couple of biblical quotes that I want to transcribe into my own language, and I'm going to kind of combine the two. And one of them is from Romans 12:2, and one of them is Philippians 4:8. And so combining those two in my own words, it's that do not be conformed to this world, like a lotus blossom stuck in the muck and the mire, but raising above it, in the world, but not of it. So do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is divine, pure, virtuous, and praiseworthy, and always for the highest good of all. Think upon these things. Two of my favorite quotes in my own words. So remember, in the Greek language, discern meant the process of examining gold ore to determine if it was genuine. And that's what we do with our thoughts, beliefs, opinions, decisions, choices. But what do we do instead? No, we search for the answer. We worry, we fret, we pray beseechingly, we struggle, we discuss it in ad infinitum. We read books, we start, we stop, we halt, we fidget, we fumble, we make our lists, we stay up late at night worrying about things we can't control anyway. And this is all, it's not wrong in itself. And some of it can be quite helpful, but getting beyond that is truly a worthy goal for our lives. So when we go inside, the next steps are revealed to us. They unfold easily, without force, without manipulation. Divine guidance nudges us toward our good, always. We recognize divine guidance, wisdom, as an inner knowing, and feel peace in having received answers that we seek. And we are propelled to our highest good. What is right for me? What is right for you? So when we need to consider these next steps, Relying solely upon intellect may leave us mired in too many options. And as we ponder the best way to reach our goal, and we try to puzzle out the best opportunity to pursue, but the human mind can use, and we can use logic, and that's important at times. And we can weigh the pros and cons, and we can do our research, and we should do those things. But our intellectual reasoning can only go so far. So, can I have the next slide, sweet spirit? We can say these things and ask ourselves these questions. Sweet spirit, I seek wisdom that can only come from my soul, from the depths of my being. I yearn to not lean solely on my human earthly ego or personality or opinions or thoughts or dreams. I now claim my godly wisdom. I immerse myself in divine guidance as I walk through tough decisions, challenges, uncertainty. I am grateful to know that my eyes are open to the barriers that are holding me back from spiritual progress and help me walk confidently as I discern my next steps, the ones I need to take in my life. Next slide, please. So remember, if it's based on sense perception, our ego, personality, the conclusions are fallible, often condemnatory. But if it's based on spiritual understanding from elevated consciousness, the conclusions are infallible, safe, unchangeable. Our rock, we can stand on it. Always true. Our rock. So let's do a song now to take us into meditation. So I invite you to take just a moment to relax, to breathe, and to turn within. Within where the divine presence resides. Just relax, breathe, let go, and open to receive. And maybe let these words be your guiding words. Today, I affirm I am divinely guided throughout this journey of life. Divinely guided in every choice I make. Divinely guided with my thoughts, feelings, and actions. Divinely guided in the words I choose to use with others and with myself. Divinely guided in the ways in which I view and perceive the world around me. Today, I affirm divine guidance in all aspects of my life. Relax. Breathe. Let go. And open to receive. I open to the divine that dwells within me. I live as spirit. It is my nature and my core. Every challenge reveals my spiritual power. I discover and express more of my divine potential every day. I am spirit on earth. I am eager to discover all I can be and all I can do. I am divine. Relax. Breathe. Let go. Open to receive. Turning within, we use our divine power of wisdom to discern the best path. That deeper knowing guides us through any situation in life. I connect with Source with an open heart and an open mind. My daily connection with divine nature helps me listen deeply, see more clearly, choose more wisely. I use my divine power of wisdom and discernment to choose the best path. I center myself in the presence and the power of spirit, divine spirit, of God, of that, all that which is divine and pure and praiseworthy. I breathe deeply and I feel the wisdom from sweet spirit fill my heart. A calm certainty begins to pervade my consciousness. My wisdom informs my mind and directs my steps, stretching out ahead like a clear, well-manicured path. And so it is. Amen.